Kathy O'Connor, and I'm the past president of our Equine Evac group. I just want to tell you, for some of you who are new, a little bit about our group, just so you understand the process of how we've gotten here. The group actually, there was a group that got started in 1985, and Dr. Dick Mansman, who was a veterinarian in town, actually started that group with some Hope Ranch people, and Bev McCurdy, who is one of our longtime members, was in that original group. The group really didn't do that much. I've been a horse owner in this town all my life and didn't even know there was a group. When the Painted Cave fire hit, and you all know about that in 1990, there were some of us that were involved at Earl Warren for about 5 days, transporting horses, billeting horses, and getting them back, finding homes, and so forth. And that was really the beginning of this group. We activated directly through 911 if you ask for Equine Evac. All the fire departments know that we're around, and we've trained with various fire departments. Carpinteria, Montecito, of course, has really been our host agency, and this relationship has just been instrumental in our development. So we really appreciate all the Montecito people and everything that they have done for us over the years and continue to do. So we have been struggling, as all volunteer groups do, over the last 13 years. And we have a really strong core of volunteers that you see here today. And for all of the new groups coming in, the biggest problem really is getting enough volunteers. So that's going to be your biggest challenge as upstart groups, is just getting people to stay committed over the long term. The other difficult part is getting money. And fundraising is always a challenge for us. Home Depot has been very generous. As you see on our board there, we are thanking them. They have donated a lot of equipment to us. We've had some private foundations give us some money. But fundraising really is a challenge. And so any ideas that we have we'll share with you, and hopefully any ideas you have in getting your group started you might share with us, because that is always our challenge. We have all been trained with the Incident Command training, and the Montecito Fire Department here has done that training for us. We've probably had maybe 4 or 5 trainings over the last 13 years. So I think that is really critical, and I think every volunteer group should get their fire departments to get involved and do that training for them, because we want to use the same organizational system that the fire service uses and all the other emergency services use in California, and actually it's a national system. So we try to organize our group like they do. We would assign a liaison officer to go into the Incident Command Center of whatever group is managing an event, so that we're on the inside getting information, making sure that they know that we're available. We never go anywhere that we're not told to go. It's very important that organizations like ours are not a bunch of cowboys that we just rush in and think we're going to save the world. We're not going to do that. We are there to assist. We are there to assist the fire service, the sheriff, the police departments, the Forest Service, whatever agency is in charge. That's what we're there to serve. And we try to really maintain that professional relationship. That's why we spend so much time in the training process and knowing what that organization needs to be. There are times when we can't get in and save horses. So one of our other primary responsibilities, we believe, is education. You know, we do our training. We do train with organizations like this. We do our own trailer training. We do our individual training, so to speak. When we have our meetings, we go over different events. But probably the most important thing we can do is educate. And one of the reasons that we have a lot of material available, and we spend a lot of time setting up our material, setting up our little horse hanging out there at different fairs and different organizations, is because we want to educate horse owners to take care of themselves. They have to be prepared. They have to have exit routes. They have to have places that they might be able to take their animals. They need to have people there to take care of their animals when they're out of town. Any of you who run into horse people, any of the groups, the volunteer groups from San Marcos or the Forest Service or the Fire Service, any of you that know horse owners that don't know about us, if you would just give them information about our group. We're willing to go to their property. We're willing to show them ways that they can create a safer environment for their animals, how to create exit routes, how to find places to go, how to get in touch with us. So really that education process is critical to this community and to any community that's going to have a group like this. What the fire service can offer us as volunteer groups. And we depend on the fire service tremendously. They are going to be the lead group anytime there's a rescue, anytime there's a fire, anytime there's an emergency, unless it's the Forest Service. We go into the Forest Service, and of course they're the lead group. But we can always count on them to provide a lot of this equipment. As you will see when we go outside to cut up the trailer, we don't have that equipment. We have rescue equipment. We don't have the big heavy equipment that the fire service or Forest Service can provide to us. So it's really important that you make that relationship work with your fire service in whatever community you have. Now, we were very lucky because we had Don Hathaway come into our organization as a former battalion chief here in Montecito, and of course Chief McElway, who is the former fire chief here, got on the bandwagon and really was very supportive, and he was the one that made a lot of the liaisons with some of the other fire chiefs in the area. So if you just find one fire department, one fire chief, one person that will help you, that's really, I think, the key to your organization is getting that relationship and what they can provide for you. We have our veterinarian here today, and he's really going to be, when he comes on scene, he really takes over the handling, the medication, how this horse is going to be dealt with. When we did our air rescue, we had a veterinarian on both ends. Karen Blumenshine went in with us back in the back country to take care of the horses from that end. And then Steve Goss was on the front side where he met the horse as they were landed and took care of everything from that end. So your veterinarians are really key to you. We are going to be working on cutting up a horse trailer. And horse trailers are configured in a variety of ways. So for the fire service here and the volunteer groups, it's sort of interesting because some of you aren't familiar with horse trailers, and so we look at that horse trailer and you say, okay, well, this is how we're going to do that. Every trailer cut up we've done has been different. It's unbelievable. We can even have the same crew doing another cut up and we'll look at the situation and do it differently. So there's no, set way to do this. But one of the things it's interesting is to look at the different trailers. You have single trailers, not very many, but occasionally you'll see a little old single trailer going down the road. You have straight loads, slant loads, stock trailers. You have the big, fancy trailers, that go cross country. There's all different configurations. So at least in some of your thinking about training, you want to think about what you might do with different types of trailers. One of the issues that we have is getting old trailers to cut up. So one of our little advertisements over there is, if you have an old trailer, let us know. Sometimes we get a trailer donated and we feel badly cutting it up because it's in pretty good shape. So if you know of people that have old horse trailers, they're willing to have us cut up. Now, we haven't been able to cut up. I don't think we've had a slant load yet, have we? And slant loads, of course, that's what I have and what a lot of us have. They're great trailers, but we haven't been able to practice on a slant load yet. They're not old enough. People haven't banged them up enough, and maybe somebody will have a problem with one. It'll start rusting out and we'll get one. But it's just interesting, and then the weights are there. We're dealing with, those of you that aren't familiar with horses, 1,000 pounds, maybe 1,200 pounds with a big horse. You got 2 horses in a trailer. That's a lot of weight. You got 3 horses, of course, it just becomes a little bit more problematic. Probably our biggest fear are the horse trailer accidents. It's just so traumatic. Obviously, those usually happen in a place like on a freeway or on a narrow road or somewhere where access is difficult, traffic is a problem. We've all heard the horror stories about, a sheriff or highway patrol taking out their gun and shooting an animal because they thought it was, the right thing to do. it's really important that that isn't necessarily the first thing we do. We have seen and heard about unbelievable accidents where horses have walked away, and they walk away into another trailer, which, you know, I hate to reinforce the idea that some of you think horses are dumb. I mean, maybe they're just smart and just so happy to get away from the scene that they're going to jump in the trailer. So, I mean, it's unbelievable. We had those two horses, you know, back in the backcountry. I mean, I'm sure a lot of people probably thought that they just should have been euthanized and left, and there was no way. The horses were, they were not injured significantly. They were getting food and water. I mean, you can't look in a horse's eye and say, we're just going to quit. So I guess that's the value of a volunteer organization like that that's so committed to the welfare of an animal, is that we're going to do what we can without jeopardizing the safety of the human beings involved. And that's the other issue, is we will not put ourselves in danger, and we will not put anyone else in danger. So you really have to compromise that. We have our equipment trailer out there, and Gene's going to be in there so he can explain all the different equipment we have. We have our billeting trailer, and I think, was it Karen that was going to be around the billeting trailer, so she can show you what we have in there. Actually, today is going to be a work day for us too. After this, we're going to go to Don's house and clean the trailers. We should have done it before we did all this, but you know, we're going to be actually working, organizing, you know, and going over our equipment again.
During any incident that you might become involved in, one of the most important things you can have is communications. In our organization, we have purchased 8 of these handheld Motorola 10-channel radios. You can plug them into a cigarette lighter to keep them charged, or they have a home charger you can plug in to keep spare batteries charged at all times.